Do you remember the last time a conversation turned into a labyrinth of silences? Sometimes love bids farewell in the small pauses, the averted glances, and the words that are no longer spoken. These changes are like icebergs, hidden beneath the surface, but immense in their emotional impact. Each silence weighs heavy, and it is in that space that indifference begins to settle in. What happens when a relationship that once pulsed with life starts to transform into a distant echo? Conversations turn into monologues, and laughter is replaced by whispers of detachment. You may notice that the questions once asked with interest now come with short, uninterested responses. Love, once vibrant, seems to hesitate, as if searching for an exit it can't find. These silences communicate more than 1,000 words. They reveal a distance that is often not explicit, yet becomes impossible to ignore. Each pause is a missed opportunity. Each glance that doesn't meet is an unwritten chapter in the relationship's story. It feels as if a shroud of indifference has been cast, obscuring the emotional connection that once was so clear. You may try to revive the conversation, but indifference becomes an invisible barrier. Attempts to reverse this heavy atmosphere often result in frustration. What once was a fluid dialogue turns into a minefield, and each word seems to carry a different weight. It's a guessing game, where you try to understand what the other feels, but the answer remains elusive. Indifference doesn't appear overnight. It settles in slowly like water seeping into a structure. What began as a small disagreement can evolve into a general lack of interest. The flame that once illuminated the relationship gradually dims, and the partner you knew seems to become a stranger. When we notice this change, the reaction can be one of sadness, anger, or even resignation. Often, the pain doesn't come solely from the separation, but from the awareness that what was built may be crumbling. These emotions are complicated as we deal with the loss of something that was once significant while trying to understand what went wrong. Sometimes the conversation about indifference and silence becomes necessary. It's a risk, but it can be the path to clarity. Direct questions can open doors, but the fear of the answer can be paralyzing. What if what you find on the other side is a confirmation of your worst suspicion? This uncertainty can keep us trapped, hesitant to act. The reality is that unspoken words linger in the air, creating a space that becomes increasingly difficult to cross. This space, filled with uncertainties and disappointments, can turn into a chasm, and in the end, when love has faded, the silence turns into a deafening scream, echoing the indifference that has taken hold. It's essential to reflect on these pauses and silences. They invite an internal dialogue about what has happened and what is being felt. Often, the true pain comes from the realization that love is not a fixed state but a flow. It can be nurtured or neglected. And when neglect becomes the norm, what once united us can quickly turn into a distant memory. Love stories are built through conversations, laughter, and shared moments. When these elements begin to dissipate, what remains are the echoes of a time that was. Recognizing indifference is the first step. The second is deciding whether it is worth fighting for what has been lost, or if it's time to accept that love is gone, leaving only silence. Reflecting on these silences can be a path to self-discovery. It can bring to light what truly matters and what is worthy of being reclaimed. In the end, silence doesn't have to be the final act. Rather, it can be an invitation to a new chapter, where the lessons learned will guide the future. The beauty of relationships lies in their complexity, and sometimes the pauses teach us to appreciate what really counts. Love may depart, but the truths that surface in silence can give us a new perspective. It is in this space that we find the strength to move forward, whether to reclaim what is still worth it or to make room for new stories. Thus, as we acknowledge the ice of indifference, we can begin to melt it step by step. Indifference often appears as a silent thief, infiltrating daily interactions without those involved realizing it. It is common that in a relationship, routine and familiarity lead to a state of comfort that over time can turn into apathy. What was once a safe space for communication can become a terrain where words are scarce and feelings are withheld, as if expressing them were a burden. When dialogue empties out, it's easy to believe everything is fine. People tend to avoid confrontation, preferring to maintain appearances. However, this choice can come at a high cost. The absence of meaningful words can create a disconnect that becomes palpable. It is in this scenario that many find themselves trapped in a cycle of dissatisfaction, where the lack of communication breeds misunderstandings and resentments. The signs that something is amiss can be subtle: a glance that is no longer shared, a laugh that doesn't resonate as it once did, or even the difficulty in finding a topic that interests both parties. These small details, often overlooked, are precursors to a larger problem. When you realize that you no longer care about discussing day-to-day matters, it's time to reflect on what is really happening. Indifference can be a response to accumulated pain or frustration. Often, people shut down for fear of being hurt again. They prefer silence to vulnerability, creating a barrier that isolates them even further. This behavior may not be intentional, but its consequences can be devastating. The partner who was once a close friend transforms into a stranger, and intimacy fades away, leaving only a shell of what used to be. When conversations become rare, it's natural to have doubts. You start to question what's happening and whether love still exists. There is a genuine desire to understand, but the fear of hearing the truth can be paralyzing. This uncertainty can lead to a state of anxiety, where every interaction is analyzed and debated internally. What could be a simple conversation turns into a mountain of expectations and fears. The lack of communication is not limited to words. Touch, a loving gesture, or even the willingness to listen to one another are fundamental elements that sustain a relationship. When these factors begin to disappear, the relationship becomes superficial. The emotional connection that was once vibrant transforms into a monotonous routine, where each day becomes repetitive and lifeless. One of the biggest challenges is breaking this cycle of indifference. Often, the first necessary action is having the courage to open up. This might mean expressing your concerns or, in some cases, simply asking your partner how they are feeling. It's a risky step because the response may not be what you expect. However, this is a crucial step towards clarity. Honest dialogue allows both parties to recognize what's at stake. If attempts at communication are met with resistance, it may indicate a deeper issue. Sometimes, indifference is a sign that one or both partners have already emotionally invested in other areas of their lives, such as work or friendships, leaving the relationship on the back burner. This shift in priorities can lead to a silent resentment that only intensifies over time. It's important to remember that a relationship is not static. It constantly evolves. What worked in the past may not be sufficient today. Recognizing this dynamic is essential for maintaining a healthy bond. The parties involved must be willing to adjust their expectations and reassess their mutual needs. This may include discussing new ways to spend time together or exploring shared interests that have been set aside. Sometimes it may be necessary to seek external help, such as couples therapy, to facilitate this communication. A professional can provide a fresh perspective and tools for the couple to reconnect. This can be especially beneficial if there are deep emotional wounds that need to be healed. Therapy can create a safe space where both partners can express their frustrations and desires without judgment. Furthermore, it is crucial for each partner to take responsibility for their part in the relationship dynamic. This means reflecting on how their actions or inactions may have contributed to the current situation. Self-awareness is a powerful tool. By understanding your own emotions and behaviors, you can approach your partner with more empathy and understanding. When love is genuine, it's worth fighting for. Relationships that overcome obstacles and challenges are often stronger for it. What may seem like an end could actually be an opportunity for a new beginning. Treating indifference as a warning sign rather than a destination is crucial for revitalizing connection. Ultimately, it is essential to appreciate the importance of ongoing communication. Keeping lines of dialogue open, even about small things, can prevent indifference from setting in again. Everyday conversations, even if brief, help cultivate a space for intimacy and connection. After all, love is a continuous process that requires attention and dedication. With mutual effort and a willingness to confront challenges, it is possible to transform uncomfortable silences into moments of understanding and deep connection. The first step to revitalize a relationship that finds itself in the shadow of indifference is to recognize that communication is the foundation of any healthy bond. It is important to understand that a lack of dialogue is not just a passing phase, but a clear sign that something deeper needs to be addressed. Often partners expect each other to sense their needs and desires without expressing them openly. This expectation is unrealistic and can lead to further frustration. It is essential to create an environment where both feel safe to share their feelings. Therefore, it is important to choose an appropriate moment to talk, free of distractions, and in a space where both can feel comfortable. The approach should be careful, and words should be chosen with attention. Using "I feel" instead of "you do" can help prevent the conversation from becoming defensive. When initiating dialogue, it is essential to focus on active listening. This means not only hearing, but genuinely trying to understand the other person's perspective. Many people feel ignored when not listened to properly, and this can exacerbate resentment. Being present in the conversation with total attention shows respect and appreciation for what your partner is saying. It's common for intense emotions to arise during these discussions. Sadness, anger, frustration, and even guilt can come to the surface. It's important to allow space for these feelings to be expressed, as ignoring them only prolongs suffering. Emotions should be treated as part of the healing process, not as obstacles to be avoided. Sometimes what may seem like a minor disagreement can be the tip of the iceberg for larger issues. Matters that haven't been discussed may come to light, and it's vital to address them with empathy. This doesn't mean you have to agree with everything the other person says, but rather recognize that their experiences and feelings are valid. Emotional validation is a powerful tool for restoring connection. The role of vulnerability should not be underestimated. Opening up about your own insecurities can encourage your partner to do the same. This exchange of vulnerabilities can create a space of intimacy that may have been missing. When both individuals feel safe to expose themselves, emotional connection can be re-established, bringing the essence of the relationship to the forefront. Over time, some routines can become outdated. What once brought joy may have turned into just another obligation. Therefore, it's important to be open to exploring new activities together. This might mean trying out a new hobby, traveling to an unexplored place, or even establishing a new tradition like having a weekly date day. These shared experiences can reignite passion and joy in the relationship. Self-reflection should also be a part of this process. Each partner should ask themselves what they are bringing to the relationship and how their actions may be impacting the other. This kind of introspection can open one's eyes to behaviors that need to be adjusted. Sometimes it's easy to get lost in the daily routine and forget what truly matters. Reminding yourself of why you fell in love with the other person can be a good starting point. Another crucial aspect to consider is physical connection. Physical touch is one of the most direct ways to express love and affection. Simple gestures like holding hands, hugging, or a kiss can make a significant difference. These moments of contact help to create a bond that may have weakened. One cannot underestimate the power of a warm physical interaction amid emotional chaos. If indifference persists even after attempts at communication and reconnection, it may be necessary to consider seeking professional help. Couples therapy can provide a neutral space to discuss issues that may be difficult to address alone. A therapist can help identify harmful patterns and provide practical tools to improve communication. This support can be especially valuable in times of crisis, where an outside perspective can shed light on aspects that partners may not be able to see. The decision to seek help should not be seen as a sign of weakness, but rather as a courageous step towards strengthening the relationship. Sometimes the mere act of committing to work on the relationship can open new doors. By committing, both partners are acknowledging that love is worth it and that they are willing to fight for it. Additionally, it's important to remember that relationships evolve. What worked in the beginning may not be enough today. Life changes, such as new responsibilities, professional challenges, or children, can alter the dynamics of a relationship. It is crucial to be flexible and adaptable, allowing the relationship to grow according to the new circumstances. Ultimately, it is essential to cultivate gratitude. Sometimes, the small things that have been taken for granted are what matter most. Recognizing and appreciating the simple gestures in everyday life can help re-establish an emotional connection. When you focus on your partner's positive qualities, it becomes easier to overcome difficulties. In summary, indifference is a sign that something needs to be addressed. Love is an ongoing process that requires effort, communication, and vulnerability. With courage and willingness, it is possible to turn uncomfortable silences into meaningful dialogues, restoring the connection that was once so vibrant. It is a challenging path, but it can lead to a deeper and more significant relationship. The first step in dealing with indifference is to acknowledge that it exists. Often the signs are subtle, but they should not be ignored. Questions such as, "Why don't we talk like we used to?" or "What happened to our connection?" can help bring to light concerns that have been suppressed. It is essential to create a safe space where both partners can express their worries without fear of backlash. When indifference sets in, it is common for one partner to feel the urge to criticize the other's behavior. However, this approach can lead to a cycle of defensiveness. Instead of pointing fingers, try to focus on how you feel. Using "I" instead of "you" can change the tone of the conversation. For example, instead of saying, "You never listen to me," try saying, "I feel ignored when you don't respond to my attempts at dialogue." This change can help prevent the other person from feeling attacked and create a more open space for communication. Active listening is a vital component in this process. This means paying attention to what the other person says without interrupting and demonstrating that you are genuinely interested in their words. Asking follow-up questions not only shows that you are listening, but can also deepen the conversation, allowing for a clearer understanding of your partner's concerns. This practice can help restore the connection. Another important strategy is the practice of gratitude. Focusing on your partner's positive qualities and expressing appreciation for the little things can help combat indifference. When you acknowledge and celebrate what your partner brings to the relationship, it can reignite the emotional connection. For example, a simple "I really appreciate it when you do this for me" can make a significant difference in how the other person perceives their value in the relationship. Additionally, it's important to consider the significance of creating new memories together. Sometimes routine and repetition can make a relationship feel stagnant. Seeking new experiences, such as going on a trip, trying a new restaurant, or even participating in an activity neither of you has tried before, can reignite the spark in the relationship. These experiences not only create new memories, but also help reinforce the emotional connection. It is also essential to discuss and align expectations. Sometimes indifference arises because one or both partners lack clarity about what they expect from each other. Talking about what each person needs and wants can help avoid misunderstandings. Questions like, "What do you expect from me in this relationship?" or "How can we support each other more effectively?" can open doors to more honest communication based on needs. One aspect that cannot be overlooked is self-care. Individual well-being has a significant impact on relationship dynamics. When one or both partners are overwhelmed or stressed, it can reflect on the relationship. Therefore, it is important for each person to prioritize taking care of themselves, whether through hobbies, exercise, or time to relax. A partner who feels good about themselves is more capable of contributing positively to the relationship. In some situations, external help may be necessary. If dialogue and efforts to reconnect do not yield results, couples therapy can be a valuable resource. A professional can help identify harmful patterns, facilitate communication, and provide practical tools to improve the relationship. Seeking help should not be seen as a sign of weakness, but as an act of strength and commitment. Time also plays a fundamental role in recovering a relationship. Sometimes, it is necessary to take a step back and allow each partner the space to reflect. This can facilitate a new perspective on the relationship and what each person desires from it. Over time, emotions can calm down, allowing for a more productive conversation. Vulnerability is another key element. By opening up about your insecurities, you can encourage your partner to do the same. This not only helps create a safe space, but can also strengthen emotional connection. When both partners feel comfortable sharing their weaknesses, it can lead to a deeper level of intimacy and understanding. Additionally, it is important to recognize that love is not a fixed state. It needs to be nurtured and cultivated. What worked at the beginning of a relationship may no longer be sufficient as time goes on. Changes in life circumstances require partners to adapt and readjust their expectations. This may include discussing new ways to spend time together or exploring shared interests that may have been set aside. Mutual respect and understanding are fundamental. Each partner should be able to express their concerns and needs without fear of judgment. This doesn't mean they will always agree, but each person should feel heard and validated. Respect is the foundation of any healthy relationship, and when it is lost, indifference can quickly set in. Finally, it's crucial to remember that relationships are a joint effort. Both partners must be willing to invest time and energy into the relationship. This means being proactive and not waiting for the other to take the initiative. Responsibility for the health of the relationship should be shared. By adopting a conscious and intentional approach, it is possible to transform indifference into meaningful dialogue and restore the connection that may have been lost. With patience, love, and mutual effort, the relationship can not only survive but thrive, creating a stronger foundation for the future. When we talk about indifference in a relationship, it's also important to consider the impact this condition can have on both partners' mental health. The feeling of disconnection can lead to a range of negative emotions, such as anxiety and depression. When communication breaks down and interactions become rare, loneliness can creep in, even when surrounded by a loved one. This loneliness, in many cases, is one of the most painful experiences someone can have, as it reflects love fading away. Therefore, understanding indifference is not just a matter of solving a relationship problem, but also about caring for both partners' emotional well-being. Self-assessment becomes essential in this process. Each partner needs to ask themselves how they are handling the situation. Self-analysis can reveal whether there is a pattern of behavior leading to indifference. Do you feel neglected? Are you withdrawing as a form of protection? These issues can help highlight what needs to be addressed. Additionally, it is vital for partners to recognize that change must be a shared responsibility. Often, one spouse may feel like they are doing all the heavy lifting in the relationship, while the other seems indifferent. This dynamic is unhealthy and can lead to resentment. Open communication about these perceptions can be the first step toward restoring a healthy balance. When partners commit to working together, it is possible to create a safe space for vulnerability. Sharing feelings of frustration or sadness can open new avenues of understanding. This exchange of feelings should be approached with care, focusing on constructive dialogue, where the goal is to find solutions, not to assign blame. One aspect that is often overlooked is the importance of small daily interactions. Simple comments and gestures of affection can reverse indifference. Often couples focus on grand gestures or drastic changes, forgetting that small daily actions can have a significant impact. A warm good morning or a touch on the arm while watching a movie can help rekindle the emotional connection. These small acts create an environment where intimacy can flourish again. Exploring new activities together can also be beneficial. Sometimes, the routine becomes so monotonous that the relationship loses its spark. Finding a new hobby or taking a class together can revitalize the connection. These shared experiences not only create new memories, but also help partners see each other in a new light. The rediscovery of a partner can be one of the keys to restoring emotional connection. The priority should always be communication. Having regular meetings to discuss feelings and needs can prevent indifference from setting in. These meetings can be informal, but the intention must be clear, to create a space where both feel comfortable expressing their concerns. Honesty during these conversations is crucial. One should not fear the truth, no matter how harsh it may seem. The practice of empathy must also be a priority. Putting oneself in the other's shoes can help in understanding their reactions and feelings. This understanding can lead to more effective communication and a genuine effort to improve the situation. When both partners strive to understand each other's perspective, indifference can be replaced by a sense of unity. Additionally, it is essential for each partner to recognize the value of alone time. It is healthy for each person to have their individual space for personal growth. Often, indifference is the result of spending too much time together without personal space. Encouraging one another to explore individual interests can enrich the relationship. This doesn't mean that the connection will weaken. On the contrary, it can enhance the appreciation that both have for each other. Gratitude and recognition of a partner's contributions are also essential. Often, the little things one does for the other are overlooked. Acknowledging these gestures can help restore feelings of value and mutual respect. Sincere thanks for everyday actions help create a positive and welcoming environment. The role of humor should not be underestimated. Laughing together can be a powerful way to re-establish the connection. Humor can relieve tension and create a space where both partners feel more comfortable being vulnerable. Sometimes a simple joke can break the ice and pave the way for deeper conversations. Ultimately, it's crucial for both partners to be willing to make sacrifices. This doesn't mean that one should completely lose themselves for the other, but rather that a middle ground needs to be found where both feel satisfied. The commitment to a healthy relationship involves being willing to work together, even when things get tough. If indifference persists, it might be a sign that the relationship needs a deeper re-evaluation. Sometimes, couples may discover that despite all efforts, the connection cannot be restored. Acknowledging this is an important step. Accepting the end of a relationship can be painful, but it can also open up space for new opportunities and personal growth. The key is to understand that indifference is not a destination, but a signal that something needs to be addressed. By dealing with it proactively, it's possible not only to restore the connection, but also to create a stronger foundation for the future, whether together or apart. The journey can be challenging, but the rewards of renewed love or a fresh start can be transformative. Recognizing indifference in a relationship is the first step toward change. Often, people feel overwhelmed by emotions and end up distancing themselves, but it is possible to turn this situation around. It is essential for both partners to be willing to face reality and to work together to restore the lost connection. This requires honesty and vulnerability, elements that, when used effectively, can strengthen the bond. One of the most effective methods for dealing with indifference is to establish a space for dialogue. Creating an environment where both partners feel comfortable expressing their feelings is essential. This can be achieved during a quiet moment, away from the distractions of daily life. A dinner at home or a stroll in a place that both enjoy can provide a relaxing atmosphere conducive to important conversations. During these discussions, it's crucial to practice active listening. This means truly hearing what your partner is saying, without interrupting and without planning your response while they are talking. Showing that you are attentive and care about what they are expressing can help alleviate any feelings of indifference. Open-ended questions are a great way to encourage the other person to talk more about their feelings. Instead of asking, "Are you okay?" you might try, "How do you feel about what we're going through?" In addition to listening, it's important to validate the other person's emotions. This doesn't mean you have to agree with everything, but recognizing that their feelings are valid is important. Saying something like, "I understand that you feel this way," can help create an empathetic environment. This validation is essential for both of you to feel heard and respected. Another effective strategy is the practice of small daily gestures. Often, routine and familiarity can lead to complacency. A simple good morning with a smile, a compliment, or a thank you for something your partner did can rejuvenate the relationship. These little acts help create a positive and welcoming environment where both feel valued. Rediscovering shared interests can be very beneficial as well. Often couples lose themselves in their routines and forget what brought them together in the first place. Trying new activities together, like dance classes, nature hikes, or even cooking together, can reignite your connection. These experiences not only create new memories, but also reinforce the idea that you are together, exploring and learning from each other. Additionally, it's important to remember that each partner should have space to grow individually. Time apart can be just as valuable as time together. Encouraging each other to pursue personal interests can bring new perspectives and energies to the relationship. This doesn't mean you should distance yourselves, but rather that you should support each other's individuality. Communication shouldn't only revolve around problems. It's also important to celebrate achievements and positive moments. Establishing a routine of sharing good things that happened throughout the day can help restore emotional connection. This can include discussions about what each of you learned at work, something funny that happened, or even a movie you both enjoyed. These conversations can help remind you of happy moments and, in turn, strengthen the relationship. Sometimes, indifference is a sign that one partner doesn't feel valued. It's essential to pay attention to what each brings to the relationship. Recognizing and expressing appreciation for each other's qualities and efforts can make a significant difference. A simple, "I admire how you handled that situation," can show that you are paying attention and valuing what they do. It's crucial for both partners to be willing to make sacrifices. This doesn't mean one should disappear for the sake of the other, but rather that you need to find a middle ground where both feel satisfied. The commitment to the relationship should be mutual and visible. This can include everything from small concessions in daily life to more significant decisions that impact your future together. When efforts to reconnect don't yield results, it may be necessary to consider enlisting the help of a professional. Couples therapy can be a valuable tool for better understanding the dynamics of the relationship and learning new ways to communicate. A therapist can offer an external perspective and help identify harmful patterns that might be contributing to feelings of indifference. In many cases, seeking outside help is a sign of strength, not weakness. Acknowledging that you both need support to navigate a difficult phase can be a courageous step. Therapy can create a safe space for both partners to share their feelings without fear of judgment. This can lead to a deeper understanding of each person's emotions, thereby facilitating reconnection. It's important to remember that indifference is not a final destination. It's a phase that can be overcome with effort and dedication. Love requires constant attention, and both partners must be willing to invest time and energy to keep the connection alive. Ongoing communication is key to preventing indifference from taking hold again. Lastly, it's essential to cultivate gratitude, not just for your partner but also for yourself. Appreciating what you bring to the relationship and recognizing your own feelings can help create an environment where intimacy and connection can thrive. The journey may be challenging, but the rewards of renewed love or a fresh start can be transformative. When both partners commit to working on the relationship, it is possible not only to restore the connection, but also to build a stronger foundation for the future. Love is not static. It evolves and adapts. With patience, love, and mutual effort, it is possible to transform uncomfortable silences into meaningful dialogues and rebuild a relationship that not only survives, but thrives. When a relationship faces indifference, the first action to take should be a willingness to change. It's important for both partners to acknowledge that the current situation is unsatisfactory and that they are ready to work together in search of a solution. This mutual willingness is fundamental. Without it, attempts to reconnect may feel forced and pointless. A crucial aspect to address is transparency in expectations. Often indifference arises because partners do not openly discuss what they expect from each other. Conversations about what each one desires in the relationship can help align those expectations. Questions like, "What would you like to see more of in our relationship?" or "What can we do to feel more connected?" can spark productive discussions. Additionally, it's essential to create a space where both feel comfortable expressing their concerns. This means establishing an environment of respect and understanding, where criticism is unwelcome, but conversations about feelings and needs are encouraged. This approach can help prevent misunderstandings and accumulated resentments. Self-care also plays an important role in this process. Each partner should take care of their emotional and physical well-being. When both feel good about themselves, it reflects in the relationship. Encouraging moments of individuality can be beneficial. This can include hobbies, exercise, or time spent with friends, which helps relieve pressure and brings new energy to the relationship. Exploring new ways to connect is equally important. Engaging in new activities or rediscovering shared interests can reignite passion. An outdoor outing, dinner at a new restaurant, or even a joint project can bring freshness to the couple's dynamic. These experiences help create new memories and strengthen emotional bonds. Communication should be ongoing. Conducting regular check-ins, where both partners can share what's working and what isn't, can help avoid falling back into indifference. During these moments, it's important to be honest and open, but also sensitive to each other's feelings. Practicing gratitude and recognizing your partner's small contributions can enhance the sense of appreciation. The role of humor should not be forgotten. Laughing together can relieve tensions and create a lighter atmosphere. A moment of relaxation can be a powerful antidote to indifference. Sometimes a light joke or a funny memory can break the ice and pave the way for deeper conversations. Ultimately, it's crucial that both partners are willing to learn from each other. This means not only listening, but also applying what has been discussed. Change doesn't happen overnight, but with continuous effort, it's possible to transform the relationship. The willingness to adapt to changes and to grow together is what keeps a relationship healthy and meaningful. If mutual commitment is present, the chances of reversing indifference and restoring connection are high. Love can be a complicated process, but with patience and effort, it can bloom again. Acknowledging indifference is the first step toward rekindling the relationship. Before you leave, do two things now. Take a deep breath and hold on to what touched your heart today. And if it makes sense, share this story with someone who also needs to hear it.